Let's bring in our good friend Eddie Steele, Grey Cup champion, 9-year CFL veteran, looking fresh as always. How you doing, Eddie? Seems like it's been an interesting week for you.
I'm doing really well. It has been. It's been an interesting month and a half since I last saw you.
That's right. And listen, Eddie, everybody knows the story. You came on this show. You torched the general manager of the Elks, Brock Sunderland. Days later, you were relieved of your duties at the 630 Chad, the radio rights holder of the Elks. And then on Monday, Brock Sunderland was shown the door along with a couple other Elks executives. My number one question for you is why were the media beating your door down for interviews this week?
Essentially because, what I said was the truth. And, they just, it was more of a vindicating moment in time for me. And they just wanted to kind of get my opinion on the firing, which I think everybody already knew my opinion. And just to talk a little bit of playoff football, because we're entering that exciting time of the year right now.
Well, be honest with me. Tell me what you thought when you saw the news come down Monday morning that this move had been made.
I never was calling for Brock's job in the beginning of this all. Like, I was just pointing the criticism his way. You don't want to see people get fired. You and I have both been victims of getting fired for different reasons and different jobs. I've been cut, and, it sucks. You don't want to see people be out of a job. But in terms of my feelings, it was kind of like, yeah, duh. I mean, you look at the product on field, and since Brock was the general manager, since he took over and inherited an Ed Hervey-created team, the team record has gotten worse and worse year after year. So that in itself, it's just pro football. You got to win games. We're in the business of winning. As contrary to what Len Rhodes once famously said, we're in the business of winning football games. That's what pro football is about. So when you're not producing and winning football games, then you're showed the door.
What did Len Rhodes say, by the way? I missed that quote. What did Len Rhodes say?
It was when Ed Hervey got fired. In Len Rhodes' press conference, he said, pro football is more than about winning games. And that's a famous quote of his. And this is it coming off of a Grey Cup and, having successful seasons and taking a team that when I first got to the team in 2013, we went 4-16, or maybe 5, but it was 5-7 or 5-14 or 15. Sorry, bad math. Nonetheless, we won 4 or 5 games, and he turned that around, and we had a successful 2014. Capped it off with a Grey Cup in 15. Had a pretty successful 2016, and ended up showing Ed Hervey the door.
Right. Well, Len Rhodes not in football anymore, certainly not running sports teams. So Lombardi had it right. Winning isn't everything. It is the only thing, Eddie, as you and I know. Now, listen, spill the tea, man. You said you had a job opportunity. You going to divulge it today?
I'm going to hold off until next week. But next week, it's everybody will hear. But it's a cool opportunity. A big opportunity, something that I didn't see coming down the pipeline exactly, but it's a pretty huge opportunity, so I'm really excited about it.
Good for you, Eddie. You deserve it. I'm proud of you. So where Edmonton goes from here, I mean, you played for the Ticats, the Riders, and the Eskimos, but I think you're an Eskimo at heart. You won a championship with them, so you're watching this situation really closely. Where do you think they should go from here?
That's a good question, and people have asked me that. It's hard to put your finger on it. I do know in terms of the president, they need someone who is in tune and in touch with what, not just CFL football, but the community of Edmonton. Because with the past president, they brought in an American, and I don't think he was that in tune with the community relations. Just maybe he's great business side of it, but in terms of what the community really needs and wants and desires out of an organization, especially a community-run organization, I think they need someone. It doesn't have to be an alumni. It doesn't have to be, someone who's exactly from Edmonton per se, but they need someone who understands that relationship between the community and the organization, because that's what's really suffering right now. I do tons of traveling. I talk to so many season ticket holders in small little communities and pockets around the province, and they're very frustrated with how they've been treated, how their voice hasn't been heard. And quite honestly, the season ticket holders are the ones who pay the wages of most people in the organization. It's a community gate-driven league, and you need to look after them first and foremost. So I think it's going to be very crucial that they bring in a president who is in tune and in touch with the community of Edmonton to a degree and understands how important that relationship is.
Very, very well said, Eddie. I knew that you'd be good at this media game if you really wanted to do it. I think that's all I had on the Elks. Who do you have winning the division semifinals this weekend?
I got Calgary, and I think Montreal is going to go into Hamilton and do it. I think
you're going to have to tell me why. You're going to stop. Tell me why.
I brushed over that quickly.
Yes, you did.
Calgary is they're a well-oiled machine. This year hasn't been their year in the regular season, but they're A, very well coached. We all know that. B, Bo Levi Mitchell, yes, I've harped on him throughout the year, but he's got a huge weapon coming back in Reggie Begelton. And I think he's a little banged up, but I think he'll be good to go for the game. They have a good defense. And, in all honesty, Rod, lots of boys on the Riders and lots of buddies, but I have never been completely sold on the Cody Fajardo show. And I was just listening to a stat this morning on the radio as I was driving for work, and he has completed 3 of 38 deep balls that are 30 yards or more. He's got the worst deep ball percentage. And not saying you need to live or die by the deep ball, but you need to have that threat. Duke Williams presents a really good threat, but you can't just run the rock with Powell and then chuck it deep. They need to have some sort of resemblance of an efficient offense. Shaq's got to get going, but he's been visibly frustrated. I know he's been banged up all year, but you can see he's frustrated. Their O-line is pretty porous, I'm sorry to my boy Dan Clark, but they're a pretty porous unit right now. And in the game is won and lost in the trenches, especially in the playoffs. And I think Calgary's going to be better suited. Yes, Sask has a great D-line. So unless they're causing complete havoc for Bo Levi, yeah, they could be in the game. But I think the Calgary is a little more well-polished and a little more prepared for this moment.
Love it, Eddie. Love it. That's why, like I said, you're so great at this. You are the best. Mandy is watching. Mandy Glass in Edmonton. She says, please say hi and send my well wishes to Eddie and my family and his family from Mandy in Edmonton. And I really appreciate his CFL insight. Thank you. So, Eddie, we'll let you run. Have a great weekend. And as you see, everything always works out for the best.
Yeah, and stay tuned next week, Rod. I think you'll be happy for me.
Awesome. No, I will. Eddie Steele joining us from the City of Champions, our Edmonton correspondent.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching the RP Show on YouTube. And don't forget, we're live daily on YouTube from noon to 2 Eastern. If you like what you see, hit subscribe. And if you like the program, check around for other segments of the Rod Pedersen Show here on YouTube.